Hey guys, my name is Simi Deleawe and welcome to Dear Young Christian. James 1:13-15. Temptation comes from our own desires, which entice us and drag us away. These desires give birth to sinful actions, and when sin is allowed to grow, it gives birth to death. Everyone is tempted at some point in their lives because everyone has a flesh. However, being tempted is not a sin because Jesus was tempted. It only becomes a sin when we entertain that temptation. Like, we know we're not trying to eat, but we stay in the kitchen while the devil whips up some concoction that he knows we absolutely love. Temptation is a crossroads that we all come to before we make a decision to sin or not to sin. That feeling of, dang, he fine, or yeah, like that feeling is legitimate. That feeling that you get when somebody makes you angry, like, oh my God, you're gonna have to help, like, I'm about to go off, like that's legitimate, because that was put there by God. Temptation becomes a sin when we take those feelings and then come up with our own evil desires. Like the angel on the right is telling us not to wear that outfit, and the demon on the left is telling us how we're about to snatch edges and steal people's husbands tonight. Like, yeah, that is temptation at its finest, and it's something that we all experience every day. We can either choose to fall into temptation or resist temptation, but that choice is up to you. The more we give into temptation, the more we entertain temptation, the further and further away we get from God. And that's a scary place to be. I've been there. We must get to the point where our desires start to match up with the desires of God. We must get to the point where what we want and what God wants are aligned. Then temptation doesn't have that stronghold over us. So, how do we deal with temptation? First and foremost, we actually need to ask God for help. A lot of the times, that's one of the things we just neglect to pray about. The Bible says that God always gives us an escape route. If our eyes are close to that escape route, we need to ask God to open our spiritual eyes to see that escape route. Maybe it means we're not going to certain places. Maybe it means we have to cut certain people off. Maybe it means we have to isolate ourselves for a while. Like, there's always an escape route to any type of temptation that we experience on a day-to-day basis. Another thing we can do to resist temptation is by knowing ourselves. We know that we can't handle certain things. We know that we can't be around certain people. We know that we can't, drink or eat certain things. And so if that is the case, we need to stay away from those things. We don't need to be like, I'm gonna do it, but I'm gonna be on my guard. I'm gonna be on my guard this time. I'm gonna be on my best behavior this time. Like, no, we just need to not go into the kitchen if we're not trying. We don't need to stand in the corner of the kitchen. We don't need to, sit on the counter of the kitchen. Like, don't go into the kitchen if you're not trying to eat, because more than likely whatever is being prepared in that kitchen is going to smell so good that it's going to overtake you. So we cannot avoid temptation. It's a normal occurrence, and it comes heavy, especially when we decide to be real Christians and we decide to give our lives to God. Like, it seems like everybody's tempting us. However, we can choose how we handle the temptation that may come into our lives on a day-to-day basis. Do we entertain it or do we resist it? The more we entertain it, the further away we get from God. The more we resist it, the stronger our faith grows, the stronger our relationship with God gets. Another thing to remember is that temptation is not only sexual. We like to make it only a sexual thing, but every area of our life that can lead to sin has the ability to tempt us. So please, let's not restrict it to just sexual temptation. I pray that God gives us the strength and the ability to resist temptation in every aspect of our lives this week. Alright guys, that is it for today. I hope y'all have an amazing day, and remember, it is very possible to be saved and successful. Bye.